A woman so hungry she's chewing dandelions from $1 million lawn while the family inside argues about which crystal to use for dinner. That woman was me. And before you think this is just another sad story, let me tell you, it's also the story of how I took that same lawn and turned it into a monument. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. My name is Keisha Morgan, and 3 years ago, I was invisible in a Philadelphia mansion that had more bathrooms than my whole apartment building. Back in North Philly, the Bradford estate sat in the mainline suburbs, one of those old money fortresses where even the driveway had a name. I got the job through my cousin Tanya, who'd worked there before me until she mysteriously quit without explanation. She wouldn't talk about it, just said, "Keep your head down, send your checks home, and whatever you do, don't make waves." I should have asked more questions. My son Dante was 11, staying with my mama in Atlanta while I worked up north. He had sickle cell, and the medical bills were drowning us faster than I could swim. The crisis episodes alone cost thousands. Insurance covered some, but the co-pays, the medications, the emergency room visits at 2 in the morning when his pain scale hit a 10, that all came out of our pockets. My mama was doing her best, but she was on a fixed income, living in a one-bedroom in southwest Atlanta, sleeping on the couch so Dante could have the bedroom. When Mrs. Victoria Bradford's agency called offering twice what I made at the hotel, I didn't hesitate. I packed one suitcase, kissed Dante's forehead while he slept, and promised him I'd be home for Christmas. That was April. The plan was simple. Work hard, save money, get Dante the treatment he needed, maybe even move him up north with me once I got stable. That plan lasted exactly 3 days. The house was beautiful in that cold, untouchable way. Marble everywhere, paintings that probably cost more than my life. And silence. So much silence it felt like the walls were holding their breath. Everything was white, or cream, or beige. Like color itself was too common for these walls. The foyer had a chandelier bigger than my mama's car. The living room had furniture nobody ever sat on. There was a library full of books nobody ever read. It was a museum pretending to be a home. The other staff, mostly Latina women and one older Korean man named Jun, moved like ghosts. They didn't chat during breaks. They didn't hum while working. They didn't make eye contact. They just existed quietly, like background music nobody wanted to hear. At first I thought maybe it was a language thing, but then I realized no, it was a fear thing. Something in this house had taught them that silence was survival. I met Victoria Bradford on my second day. She was in her late 50s. Blonde hair pulled so tight it looked painful. Wearing a cream pantsuit that probably cost more than 3 months of my rent. She had that look some white women get when they've had work done but won't admit it. Smooth but stiff, like a mask that doesn't quite fit. She smiled with her mouth but never her eyes. She walked around me in a slow circle, looking me up and down like I was livestock at an auction. "Your uniform should be pressed daily," she said. "I smell perfume. We don't allow fragrance. It interferes with the air quality." I nodded, even though I wasn't wearing perfume. Just the cocoa butter lotion I'd used since I was 12. "You'll report to Jun for training," she continued. "He'll teach you our standards. And Keisha, we have rules here. Many rules. Follow them and you'll do fine. Break them and we'll have problems." I should have known then. Should have heard the threat underneath the smile. But I needed the job, so I said, "Yes, ma'am," and followed Jun down to the staff quarters in the basement. Jun was 63, from Busan, and had worked for the Bradfords for 6 years. He showed me around with the efficiency of someone who'd given this tour too many times. "This is the staff kitchen," he said, opening a door to a cramped room with a mini fridge, a hot plate, and a microwave that looked older than me. "We eat here, not upstairs." "Never upstairs." I frowned. "Why not?" "There's like 3 kitchens upstairs." Jun's face went carefully blank. "Mrs. Bradford's rules. Staff and family spaces are separate. We prepare their food. We don't eat it." That seemed weird, but I figured maybe it was some rich people thing I didn't understand. "What do we eat?" He opened the mini fridge. There were crackers, peanut butter, instant soup packets, and a loaf of bread that looked like it had seen better days. "This is provided free," he said. "If you want more, there's a list. You pay, we order." I stared at the sad little fridge. "This is it?" He nodded. "I send most of my money home, to my grandson, so mostly I eat this." Something in my chest went cold, but I pushed it down. I had Dante to think about. I could eat crackers and soup for a while. It was temporary. Everything was temporary, except it wasn't. The rules were everywhere. Don't use the front entrance even to take out trash. Don't speak unless spoken to. Don't touch anything decorative, even to clean it, without gloves. Don't look directly at family members during meals. Don't answer the house phone. Don't adjust the thermostat. Don't sit on any furniture except in the staff room. The list went on and on. Printed in a 3-ring binder they made me sign. But the worst rule, the one that would nearly break me, was the kitchen rule. Victoria had decided years ago that staff hands shouldn't touch family food. We could cook it, wearing gloves. We could serve it, using tongs and serving utensils. We could clean up after it, with separate sponges and towels, but we couldn't eat it, ever. Her reasoning, which I heard her explain to a dinner guest once, was about hygiene standards. She said it delicately, like she was discussing the weather, but what she meant was clear, she thought. We were dirty. Specifically, she thought I was dirty, that my black hands, Jun's Korean hands, Maria's Mexican hands, we were all too contaminated to touch the food that went into Bradford mouths. I found this out the hard way. It was my 3rd day, and I was starving. I'd skipped breakfast because the instant oatmeal packet made me nauseous. Lunch was supposed to be at noon, but I'd been cleaning the guest bathrooms and lost track of time. By 2 o'clock, my stomach was eating itself. I went to the main kitchen, saw a bowl of fresh fruit on the counter. Apples, oranges, grapes, and reached for an apple. Jun appeared out of nowhere and grabbed my wrist. His grip was gentle but firm, and his eyes were wild with panic. "Not here," he whispered urgently. "Never here." I pulled my hand back, confused. "It's just an apple." He shook his head rapidly, glancing toward the doorway like Victoria might materialize. "She sees you, you're fired. Maybe all of us fired. Please just come with me." He led me back downstairs, and that's when he explained the full extent of the kitchen rule. The fear in his voice was real, and I realized this wasn't about preferences or quirks. This was about power, control, and something uglier that nobody wanted to name out loud. I followed the rules because I had to. Every 2 weeks, I sent home $800 of my $1,000 paycheck. Mama would call with updates. Dante had a good week. Dante's counts were down again. The new medication was working, but it made him nauseous. He asked about you. Each word was a reminder of why I swallowed my pride daily, why I accepted crackers and soup, why I said yes, ma'am, to a woman who looked at me like I was something she'd scraped off her shoe. But pride doesn't fill a stomach, and crackers only go so far. By June, I was skipping meals to save money. The basement kitchen wasn't really free. Sure, the crackers and soup were included, but anything else, eggs, cheese, butter, real bread, fresh vegetables, that all came with a price list. 25 cents for an egg, 50 cents for a slice of bread with butter, $1 for an apple. It added up fast. I did the math one night and realized I was spending nearly $40 a week just to eat like a regular person. $40 I needed to send home. So I stopped. I started eating once a day, usually dinner, and even then just the free stuff. I'd make peanut butter crackers and instant soup and tell myself I was fasting for health, for discipline, for spiritual reasons, for anything that sounded better than I'm starving in a house full of food. The hunger was constant, a gnawing, grinding presence that made it hard to think, hard to focus, hard to care about anything except the next meal. I'd be cleaning a bedroom and catch sight of myself in the mirror, shocked by how hollow my face looked, how my uniform hung looser each week. I'd be scrubbing a bathtub and have to sit down because the room was spinning. I'd be folding laundry and my hands would shake so badly I'd drop things. Nobody noticed, or if they did, they didn't say anything. John looked at me sometimes with sad, knowing eyes. But he never asked. Maria and the other housekeepers kept their distance. We were all too busy surviving to check on each other. One morning in late June, I was cleaning the guest bathroom on the second floor when it got bad. I was scrubbing the tile grout with a toothbrush, Victoria's preferred method, and suddenly the room tilted. My vision went sparkly at the edges. My hands stopped working right. I tried to stand up and couldn't. I just sat there on the bathroom floor, toothbrush in hand, wondering if this was how I died, passed out in a rich white woman's bathroom because I was too proud or too poor to feed myself. The door opened. I hadn't locked it. Didn't even hear anyone coming. Victoria stood there in her tennis outfit, white skirt and visor, staring down at me like I was a stain on her marble. "Keisha," she said, voice sharp, "we don't pay you to rest if you're unwell. Perhaps you need to reconsider your employment." Something in me cracked. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell her I was unwell because she was starving me, that her rules were killing me slowly, that I was dizzy because I hadn't eaten real food in 3 days so I could pay for my son's medication. But I didn't. I couldn't. Because women like me don't get to have breakdowns in front of women like her. We don't get to be human. We get to be functional or fired. So I pulled myself up, gripping the sink for support, and said, "I apologize, ma'am. It won't happen again." She looked at me for a long moment, and I swear I saw something flicker in her face. Not sympathy exactly, but awareness, like she knew exactly what was happening and chose not to care. "See that it doesn't?" she said, and walked out. I finished cleaning that bathroom on my knees with tears mixing into the bleach water. Each scrub of the brush a reminder of how little I mattered in this house, how invisible my suffering was, how the same hands that touched their precious grout weren't good enough to touch their precious fruit. That afternoon changed something in me. I was angrier than I'd been in years. Angrier than when Dante got diagnosed. Angrier than when my ex left. Angrier than when the insurance company denied his treatment. This was a different kind of anger. Colder, sharper. The kind that doesn't burn out but calcifies into something harder. I was in the garden that day, trimming the hedges along the west side of the property. It was hot, mid-90s, and I'd been outside for 3 hours with one water break. The family was inside with the air conditioning, probably discussing their vacation plans or which charity gala to attend. I could see them through the windows sometimes, moving through their beautiful rooms, utterly oblivious to the woman outside who was one missed meal away from collapse. The hunger was bad that day, worse than usual. It had teeth. I'd eaten 2 crackers for breakfast, nothing for lunch, and my shift didn't end for 4 more hours. My hands were shaking again. My head felt disconnected from my body, and I was so tired. Not just physically, tired of being strong, tired of being silent, tired of pretending this was okay. That's when I saw them. Dandelions, a whole patch of them growing wild in the corner of the yard that the landscaping crew always missed. Most people think they're weeds, but I grew up in the South. My grandmother used to pick dandelion greens, cook them down with ham hock and vinegar. We ate them when money was tight, when the food stamps ran out before the month did. They're bitter, but they're edible. They're survival. I looked around. Nobody was watching. The family was inside. John was on the other side of the house. The security cameras didn't point this way. I was alone with my hunger and my pride and a choice that shouldn't have been a choice at all. I knelt down in the grass, in my uniform, in the shadow of a house worth more than my entire bloodline would ever see. And I picked a handful of dandelions. I brushed off the dirt as best I could, and I ate them. The bitterness hit immediately, coating my tongue, making my eyes water. But it was food. It was something. I chewed quickly, frantically like an animal, because that's what this place had reduced me to. I picked more, stuffed them in my mouth, barely chewing, just swallowing. trying to fill the emptiness that had taken up permanent residence in my stomach. I was so focused on eating, on surviving, that I didn't hear the footsteps on the stone path behind me. "What in God's name are you doing?" I froze. My mouth was full of dandelion greens, dirt probably smeared on my face, hands stained with grass and stems. I turned slowly, already knowing this was the end, already mentally packing my things, already trying to figure out how to explain to Dante why Mama was coming home early without any money. But it wasn't Victoria standing there. It was Marcus Bradford, Victoria's husband, the man I'd seen maybe 3 times in 2 months, always in a suit, always on his phone, always moving too fast to notice the people who made his life comfortable. He was staring at me now, though, really seeing me, and the look on his face wasn't anger. It was horror. I stood up fast, dirt on my knees, shame burning through me hotter than the summer sun. "I'm sorry, sir," I managed to say. I was just... "You were eating grass." His voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the air like a knife. He took a step closer. "You were eating grass from my lawn. They're dandelions," I said stupidly, like that made it better. "They're edible? That's not the point." He ran a hand through his hair, and I noticed for the first time that he looked tired, older than I'd thought. "How long have you been doing this?" "This is the first time, I swear." That's not what I asked. His voice was gentler now, and somehow that made it worse. "How long have you been hungry?" Something in me broke, right there on that perfect lawn, in front of a man who probably made more in a day than I'd see in a lifetime. The truth came pouring out. 2 months, I said, and my voice cracked. "Maybe longer. I don't know anymore." Everything blurs together when you're this tired. He stared at me. Victoria's kitchen rule. It wasn't a question, but I nodded anyway. "And you didn't say anything because..." I laughed, a bitter sound that surprised us both. "Say anything? To who, sir?" "Your wife made it clear on day 1 that complaints equal unemployment. I've got a sick kid in Atlanta and medical debt that could bury 3 generations. So no, I didn't say anything. I just kept my head down and did my job and ate grass when I got desperate enough. That's how this works. That's how it's always worked." Marcus stood there for a long moment, and I watched something shift in his face. Guilt, maybe, or awareness, or that particular kind of shame that comes from realizing you've been complicit in something terrible just by not paying attention. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his wallet. "I'm going to give you money for food," he said, opening it. "And I want you to..." No, the word came out harder than I intended, sharp enough that he actually stepped back. His hand froze on his wallet. "Excuse me?" I said no. I was shaking now, but not from hunger, from rage, from years of swallowing words that needed to be said. "I don't need your charity. Mr. Bradford, I don't need you to feel sorry for me or throw money at the problem so you can sleep better tonight. What I need is a fair wage and basic human decency. What I need is for your wife to stop treating me like I'm contaminated. What I need is to work in a house where eating food isn't a privilege reserved for people with the right skin color." His face went pale. "That's not..." "Yes, it is," I interrupted. "That's exactly what this is. You think she'd ban a white girl from the kitchen? You think she'd make a white maid pay 25 cents for an egg? She looks at me, at June, at Maria, and she sees something less than human. And you just didn't look at all." The silence stretched between us, thick and uncomfortable. I waited for him to fire me, waited for him to defend his wife, waited for all the things white men do when black women tell them truths they don't want to hear. But Marcus Bradford surprised me. "You're right," he said quietly, "and I'm sorry." That made me turn and really look at him. He wasn't performing. There was no defensive posturing. No, let me explain. Just those 3 words hanging in the air between us. "You're right, and I'm sorry. I've been complicit in this," he continued. "I knew about the rules. I just didn't think about what they meant. Didn't think about who they hurt. I work 80 hours a week and I travel constantly, and I just assumed Victoria was managing things appropriately. But that's not an excuse. It's a failure." His voice was steady, but his hands were shaking slightly. I should have paid attention. I should have asked questions. I should have noticed that the people who work in my house were suffering. And I didn't. That's on me. I didn't know what to say. In my experience, white men apologize to make themselves feel better, not because they plan to change anything. So I waited. This ends today, Marcus said, and something in his tone made me believe him. Tomorrow, I'm calling a house meeting. All staff, all family. We're going to restructure everything, starting with the kitchen. Your wife won't like that. I don't care what she likes, he said, and the steel in his voice was real. This is my house too, and I won't have people starving under my roof. He looked at me for a long moment. What's your son's name? Dante, I said, surprised. He's 11, has sickle cell. How much do the treatments cost? I shook my head. Mr. Bradford, I appreciate. I'm not offering charity, he interrupted. I'm offering fairness. You've been underpaid and mistreated. Consider it back pay. I looked at this man, this wealthy white man in his expensive clothes, standing in his expensive garden, and I wanted to hate him. Wanted to throw his apology back in his face and quit dramatically and walk away with my dignity intact. But dignity doesn't pay for crisis management. When your son's pain scale hits a 10 at 2 in the morning, dignity doesn't buy medication. Dignity doesn't save lives. So instead I said, the specialist visits alone are $300 a pop. Insurance covers some, but the copays add up fast. Then there's the daily medications, the emergency room visits, the transfusions. We're looking at about $30,000 a year, probably more. He didn't even blink. I'll have my assistant set up a health account tomorrow. Direct payment to the providers. No middleman. Why? The question came out raw. Why do you car? Why? The question came out raw. Why do you care now? After 2 months of this, after I've been eating grass on your lawn. Marcus looked down at the dandelions scattered at my feet, then back at me, because my daughter found June passed out in the pantry last week. He said quietly, she's 16. She came running to me, terrified, saying the nice man who always has candy for her fell down and wouldn't wake up. He paused, and I could see him working through something difficult. We got him to the hospital. Malnutrition, dehydration. He'd been sending every penny home to his daughter in Korea. She has MS. He was eating even less than you were. And I didn't know. I didn't know because I wasn't paying attention. June. I thought about the sad little fridge, the way he moved slowly sometimes, the careful way he rationed everything. Is he okay? He's recovering. But it was a wake-up call I should have had years ago. He looked me straight in the eye. I can't undo what's already happened, but I can stop it from happening again. So that's what I'm going to do. The next morning, Marcus called an all-staff meeting in the main dining room. Not the basement, the actual dining room where the Bradfords ate their meals. Victoria was there too, her face tight with barely controlled anger. Their daughter Emma sat between them, looking confused. June was there, still pale but standing. Maria and the other housekeepers clustered near the door like birds ready to fly. My husband has some announcements, Victoria said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Though I wish he'd consulted me first. Marcus didn't rise to the bait. He stood at the head of the table and spoke clearly, effective, immediately. We're changing how this household operates. First, the kitchen rule is abolished. Everyone who works in this house has full access to all food. You cook it, you can eat it. No more separate spaces, no more separate rules. Victoria's jaw tightened, but she said nothing. Second, Marcus continued, we're raising wages across the board. 20% increase, retroactive to your hire dates. We'll be issuing back pay checks within the week. Maria gasped softly. I felt my knees go weak. Third, we're implementing a health insurance policy that covers dependents. Full coverage. June, that includes your daughter. Keisha, that includes your son. I couldn't breathe. $30,000 a year, gone, just like that. But Marcus wasn't finished. Fourth, we're hiring an independent HR consultant to review all household policies. If anyone has complaints, you'll report to them, not to us. Your jobs will be protected. He looked at Victoria, and something passed between them that I couldn't read. My wife and I have also decided to fund a college scholarship for Emma to learn from this. She'll be volunteering at a food bank this summer instead of the country club. We want our daughter to understand what real work looks like, what real struggle looks like. Emma, to her credit, just nodded. She'd been the one who found Jun. I think it had shaken her. The meeting ended quickly after that. Maria and the others filed out, whispering in Spanish, not quite believing what they'd heard. Jun bowed slightly to Marcus, then shuffled back to his room. I started to leave too, but Victoria's voice stopped me. Keisha. A moment. I turned slowly, expecting the other shoe to drop. This was where she'd fire me for insubordination, for making waves, for breaking the unspoken rule that we were supposed to suffer silently. But Victoria just looked tired. I grew up in this kind of house, she said finally. My mother had rules like mine, stricter even. I thought I was being reasonable by comparison. That's not an excuse, Marcus said quietly. No, Victoria agreed, surprising me. It's not. She looked at me directly for maybe the first time since I'd started working there. I was wrong. The rules were wrong, and I'm sorry. It wasn't the apology I wanted. It wasn't groveling or tears or dramatic repentance. It was just 3 words, said stiffly by a woman who probably wasn't used to admitting fault. But it was something. I nodded. Okay, that's it? Victoria looked almost offended. Just okay. I'm tired, Mrs. Bradford. I said honestly, I'm too tired to perform forgiveness for you. Maybe someday I'll mean it. But right now, I'm just trying to figure out if I can trust that this is real and not some temporary guilt trip that disappears next week. That's fair, Marcus said before Victoria could respond. Take the day off. Paid. Actually, take the week. Go see your son. I stared at him. Seriously? Seriously. We'll cover the flight. Business class. You've earned it. I flew to Atlanta that afternoon. Called Mama from the airport. Didn't explain. Just said I was coming home. When I walked through her apartment door and saw Dante on the couch playing video games, everything I'd been holding in for 2 months came flooding out. He looked up, controller in hand, and his face split into the biggest smile. Mama, you're early. I dropped my bag and crossed the room and held him so tight he squirmed. Easy, he laughed. I'm not going anywhere. But I was crying now, ugly crying. The kind that comes from deep in your chest where all the fear lives. I know, baby. I know. I just missed you so much. Mama came in from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a dish towel, and took one look at me and knew something had changed. What happened? She asked quietly. So I told them about the Dandelions and the Hunger and Marcus finding me in the meeting and the policy changes. I told them about the health insurance and the back pay and how I'd stood on that lawn and finally said all the things I'd been swallowing for years. Dante listened with wide eyes. You ate grass? Dandelions, I corrected. They're edible? Grandma used to make them. Mama nodded slowly, her eyes distant with memory. We ate a lot of things back then, whatever we could find. She looked at me with something like pride. But you don't have to eat dandelions anymore, baby girl. You made sure of that. I went back to Philadelphia after a week, but things were different. The kitchen rule was really gone. The first morning back, I walked into the main kitchen, made myself a real breakfast with eggs and toast and fresh fruit, and ate it at the counter without fear. Maria joined me, still tentative, like she expected Victoria to appear and start shouting. But Victoria didn't come. She was learning to stay in her lane. The work was still work. I still cleaned bathrooms and folded laundry and followed instructions. But I wasn't hungry anymore. I wasn't invisible anymore. And when I sent money home to Mama, it was extra money, not survival money. Because Dante's medical bills were covered now, Jun recovered slowly. He put on weight, started smiling more. His daughter in Korea was getting treatment, real treatment. And for the first time in years, he didn't look like a man carrying the world on his shoulders. Marcus was true to his word about the HR consultant. A no-nonsense black woman named Patricia Washington came through and interviewed everyone privately. Some of the other staff had stories that made mine look tame. Patricia documented everything, then sat down with the Bradfords and read them a report that apparently made Victoria cry. More changes followed. Better wages, better conditions, actual sick days. The house slowly stopped, feeling like a museum, and started feeling like a place where people worked with dignity. But the real change, the one that mattered most, came 6 months later. I was in the garden again, actually gardening this time, not collapsing from hunger. It was October, cool and crisp, and the leaves were turning. Emma Bradford came out and sat on the stone wall, watching me work. "My mom wants to sell the house," she said abruptly. I looked up, surprised. "Why?" "Because she can't stop seeing you eating dandelions," Emma said. She told Dad she looks at the lawn now and feels sick, that the house doesn't feel like home anymore. It feels like a crime scene. I didn't know what to say to that. Dad says we don't run from our mistakes. We learn from them. Emma continued. "So they're compromising. We're selling this house and buying something smaller, like way smaller, normal people size, and they're donating the difference to organizations that support domestic workers' rights." She picked at the stone wall, not looking at me, and Dad's starting a foundation for families with sick kids, named after your son. The Dante Morgan Health Fund, is that okay? He should have asked first, but he wanted to surprise you. I sat back on my heels, trowel in hand, and felt something shift in my chest. The anger I'd been carrying, the bitterness, didn't disappear. It probably never would completely, but it softened, made room for something else. Not forgiveness, exactly, but acknowledgement, growth, change. "Yeah," I said finally, "that's okay." I worked for the Bradfords for another year. The new house was smaller, easier to manage, and Victoria actually learned to cook. She wasn't good at it, but she tried, and something about watching a woman who'd been so rigid learn to be human was worth staying for. When I finally left, it was my choice. I'd saved enough money. Dante's health had stabilized, and I wanted to be home with him, not 1,000 miles away. Marcus and Victoria threw me a going-away party in that smaller house, and all the staff came, and for a moment it almost felt like family. Victoria pulled me aside before I left. "I never thanked you," she said. "For what?" "For not being quiet, for not just accepting things as they were." She looked older now, softer somehow. "You changed this family, made us better, made me better. I changed myself. I corrected. You all just finally paid attention." She smiled sadly. "Same thing though, isn't it? Maybe." Whoa, that was 3 years ago. I'm back in Atlanta now, working as a patient advocate at Children's Healthcare. I help families navigate medical, debt and insurance, nightmares and all the systems designed to break people like me. Dante's in high school, playing basketball when his health allows, dreaming about college. The Dante Morgan Health Fund is real and growing. Last year it helped 40 families pay for treatments they couldn't afford. Marcus calls me sometimes for advice on how to allocate the money, which families need it most. Victoria volunteers there now too, awkward and earnest, trying to make up for lost time. And sometimes, when I'm working in my own small garden behind our rented house, I see dandelions growing wild in the corner. Most people would pull them, call them weeds, but I leave them there, let them grow. They're a reminder of how hungry I was, of how low I got, of how I survived anyway, of how sometimes the things we're taught to see as worthless are the exact things that save us, and of how a woman on her knees, eating grass from a millionaire's lawn can still stand up, speak truth, and change everything. My name is Keisha Morgan, and I'm not invisible anymore.